Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
We can indeed. How are you, sir?
I'm good. And actually, you kind of used up my original sort of line of questioning.
I thought we did, but I thought I'd bring you in any event.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, basically, I was just sort of going to go down the line of, do you think that it's not likely that I'm ever going to be converted, right? So your opinion is you say that you can't pass judgment, but it is your belief that I would go to hell, right?
You're addressing this at Hamza, I presume.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, David. Good question. First and foremost, we say if you reject a message, you're eligible for hell. Yeah, we don't say you're going there though. We're saying you're eligible.
I'm not asking you to. Okay. Yeah. But I'm saying based on your understanding of the Quran, you would.
Well, this is based on my understanding of the Quran.
I'm saying
just as a matter of interest, Hamza, perhaps you could answer this. Again, it may be that a lot of the viewers who are watching this have got an idea of hell that is maybe come out of Christian theology. What is your interpretation of hell? What happens in hell?
It's as graphic and as painful.
It is, and you are prepared to sit there and say that you think that this is a fair thing to do. I'm sorry, Hamza, I think that you're a better person than that. I think deep down you know that that's an absolute load of nonsense.
Well, see, what we have to do, we have to assess, does the punishment fit the crime? And that's what we're doing.
And it certainly does not in this case.
Well, if you deny the divine and you deny...
If I am reasonable and I do not buy what are obvious lies from people who obviously don't know what they're talking about, I should not be punished mercilessly for eternity for any crime.
I agree with that
certainly not for being reasonable. I should not be punished for being reasonable.
I agree with you. If you don't buy a lie and you reject a lie, yes, you don't deserve to be punished. I agree.
Wait, can I jump in?
Okay,
hang on a second.
Hold on.
Just said that we did.
No, you're missing the point. He's saying if he denies a lie, but the point I'm saying is what I'm giving you is not a lie. That's the point.
Okay,
No, I think he said denying Allah, not a lie.
Oh, I thought he said lie. I think he said
Almighty. Over to Almighty.
Well, hold on.
I think that the point can be refined further. Even if someone doesn't believe a truth that was delivered unconvincingly, I still don't think they deserve any punishment. And if any fault is to be laid down, it should be on the people who were charged with delivering the message who were unreliable. And if you'll indulge me an anecdote, there was a surah in the Quran dedicated entirely to Abu Lahab. It's only 5 passages long, and it basically says, screw Abu Lahab, and while we're at it, screw his wife too. So I'm thinking, this is a message for humanity for the rest of time. Who in the hell was Abu Lahab, and why is he so singled out that he has an entire surah of the last and greatest message of God to his creation? Why does he have his own chapter there?
Good
so
question.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
Wait a second, hold on a second. So apparently, the Prophet Muhammad comes out having just recently received the first revelation from the angel Gabriel. He stands at the top of this mountain, according to tradition, and he shouts out this warning that is normally only given when the town is under attack by bandits or some sort of foreign army. So everyone runs willy-nilly to prepare, gathering supplies, getting their children, and as the people gather at the foot of this hill, Muhammad says, now, they say, well, where are the bandits? They say, where's the army? Where's the danger? And he says, I have called you out here because if we were under attack, you would surely gather up all of your, things to make preparations and so forth. But I'm here to warn you of another danger, that, I've received this new revelation, and you have to avoid hellfire and so forth. And this is the first test of his new religion, the first time he apparently delivers this message. And according to some versions of the story, Abu Lahab, who was his uncle and had raised him for a short period, was so furious with him, he'd stepped forward from the crowd, denounced him, and threw a rock that hit him in the face. Now, I don't approve of the rock throwing, but I have a hard time viewing Abu Lahab as a villain in this story. Because if we were in a crowded movie theater and someone pulled the fire alarm and we all ran into the parking lot and people were getting trampled and people were panicking and were frightened, people almost having heart attacks, people having asthma attacks, and we all assemble, and then someone's standing up on the hood of a car saying, you have to hear my new religion, I think that we would beat the shit out of that person.
Yeah, well, yeah, fair enough. I probably agree with you from that perspective. But you have to understand that when the Quran was revealed to people who appreciated the science of the language. And then Abu Lahab in other narrations, if you read the full story, he actually says, this was the truth, but I denied it because I'm never going to go against my forefathers, which is a very amazing strategy the Quran talks about. It's like, it talks about who we are as human beings. And it says, are you just a product of your society? And the Quran says, are you going to follow your forefathers, even if they're based on no knowledge? So that's a very...
But isn't that...
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty easy to level that accusation in the other direction, though.
The point I was trying to make was...
One second.
DPR,
No,
let me
1
just
second.
wrap it up.
I want David to expand slightly on what he just said.
Well, I mean, if you're born in America, right? I mean, there's a very good chance that you're going to be born into a Christian background, right? And so whatever the specific religious choices that would save you from hell from that perspective are entirely based on who your forefathers were, right? I mean, you say you're not going to follow your forefathers, but I mean, that seems pretty ridiculous. I mean, if you're born in the Middle East, right, the reason that you're not growing up as a Buddhist or whatever. I mean, I just don't understand how you can. That makes no sense at all to me.
Well, that's like the genetic fallacy, isn't it? Essentially,
what's a genetic fallacy?
Well, the genetic fallacy almost is like the truth of your belief is based upon where you've come from, and I don't think that's the reality here. What we're saying is, see, if you do approach the Quran as a text, and the text tells you to think and reflect on various realities, then you've been given the tools now just to think and reflect. Now, you could easily go against the social structure and say, well, this is not the right way for me. For example, there's many converts to Islam, there's many converts to other traditions, and many people claim that they've had a bit of thinking and they've thought about certain realities, and they've come to a conclusion. Now, just to assume just because you're born in Saudi Arabia, you're always going to be a Muslim, and just to assume that you're born in America, you're always going to become a Christian. That's not the case. There's many, for example, Christians converting to Islam, for example, and vice versa. So the point that you're saying that it doesn't make sense. You brought up you're going to be a product of your social environment. I think that's the problem of the 20th and 21st century, because if you look into history, when we developed this nation-state idea, that actually started to develop the idea of nationalism and other isms, and it created
Hold on.
1 minute, let me finish. Sorry, David. It connected the social kind of consciousness that we are just a product of our nation-state boundaries and our constitution and the things that everyone agrees with. But if you see before in the philosophers, the reason we had huge philosophy and differing ideas is people didn't define themselves socially. And that was a profound thing. You get the point there, David?
Well, I mean, the problem with this, right, is that there's, a huge tradition of, at least within sort of, general liberal kind of Western education. You say it's not like the Quran is the only source that says, oh, hey, we ought to apply critical thinking. No, of course, to start, it kind of sounds like you're saying it's just an accident that that America is 90 whatever, or maybe 80% Christian, and it's just an accident that the middle, like why is it confined to these geographical regions if it's not the case that there's major cultural divisions that profoundly affect what you're going to end up picking. And if that's the case, then you can't say, well, since the Quran says that you shouldn't listen to your forefathers. That's obviously what's happening, right? That's clearly what's happening. How many Muslims? It seems like you're just asserting, oh well, we're the religion that's rationally thought about what we've done, but all those other people, but it still just happens to be the case that there's these weird, geographical boundaries for religion.
But David,
I think thank you for your call. And no, don't worry, I'm going to allow you to respond, Hamza. But David, I'm going to remove you because I have two more people that I want to bring in. But Hamza, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah. First and foremost, I think if you look at in sociology, there's a thesis called secularization, and essentially you could argue societies generally are going towards becoming more atheist. You see that in Britain, you see that in America somewhat, and essentially, especially in North Europe. Now, if David was right, that we are just a product of society, then the secularization thesis would never happen. Do you see? So I don't think it's the only accurate way to look at people's viewpoints and beliefs. Because
I do have to clarify that there is a reason for this happening. Most people have grown up not questioning the religion that their parents taught them, and this is true anywhere in the world. Most people don't. Most people, it's not an area of interest for them. Most of the people, the reason it's 80% Christian in this country is because a lot of the people that call themselves Christian do so on a cultural level. I've met Hindus who say the same thing. They are Hindu because their parents are Hindu, not because they actually believe that stuff.
Sure.
And so a lot of people will make that statement.
And I think that
Hamza, I suppose the difference with you is that you were not brought up with Muslim parents, so maybe these arguments don't apply. But I think Aaron's point about how effectively the reinforcement of the indoctrination that was given to these children in America means that they find it uncomfortable, at the very least, to leave their religion. But it raises another point at which, if I may, of all the other things that there may be some doubt about, I think that you are bound to accept that the penalty for apostasy is death.